Hi everybody. Today, caregivers are asking about the impact of a broken hip for elderly loved ones. If you know anyone who has fallen and broken a bone or a hip, you may have some experience about how well a family member or a friend recovered from surgery or didn't recover from surgery. The ability of an elderly person to live independently after a hip fracture or surgery can really change significantly. Research confirms that the death rate of people over age 65 who are considered elderly, I don't know that I always agree with that term, elderly at 65, but the death rate, people over 65 who have a hip fracture, between 18 and 33% of them die in the first year after the hip fracture. So if you are concerned about a loved one's risk of having a hip fracture, if you're caring for a loved one who has fractured a hip and is recovering, or if you are an adult who says, I want to avoid a hip fracture at all costs, I don't want to break anything, I want to keep all my body parts the way they are, stay with me while I share a lot of background information and a lot of tips about the effect of hip fractures on older people. If this is your first time on my channel, I'm Pamela D. Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. I help adults and their caregivers work through health, financial, legal aspects, family relationships, all aspects related to caregiving. You can learn more about me and my professional background of almost 25 years below this video in the links to my website, PamelaDWilson.com. There's also links to schedule one-on-one consultations with me, links to my book, The Caregiving Trap, links to my podcast, The Caring Generation, a lot of free help for caregivers. Please do take a minute right now, click the like button, the thumbs up button on this video, hit the follow button for my channel, share these and other videos so that other people can find their way here, and comment. You can share your story. You can even just say thank you. One little thank you goes a long way in helping other people find their way here. So let's begin by talking about the risks of hip fractures for the elderly. The strongest risk of breaking a hip, this probably is not going to surprise you, but maybe it will. It relates to a physical decline, physical weakness, physical endurance. You get tired really quick. Poor balance. Parents walk off balance. Or they have difficulties completing what are called activities of daily living that go on month after month after month and get worse. If you need more information about activities of daily living, I'll explain them here. But I have a whole video about acronyms. Acronyms are letters. Activities of daily living, ADL, Apple, David, Larry. Whole video on acronyms specific to older adult care. After you watch this video, look for my video called 10 Reading Terms Every Caregiver Should Know. You can learn a lot there. So activities of daily living are, do your parents have difficulty bathing by themselves, showering? Are they afraid to step into the tub or into the shower and fall? Do they have grab bars? Do they have safety devices? Do they have a handheld shower? Or are they worried about doing that so they're not showering anymore, right? So the bathing hygiene aspect. And then dressing. Do they have problems getting dressed? Can they, do they have arthritis? Can they not button buttons? Is it hard for them to bend over and tie their shoes or get their shoes on or even put on socks? So bathing, dressing, eating is another one. So eating includes not only, the whole aspect of like, I got to grocery shop and make a list together, and then I got to get the groceries home. Then I got to actually stand and make the food. Then I got to feed myself, right? So a lot of that kind of stuff. Or do your parents just say, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. I don't have an appetite, which means they're losing weight and other kind of things are happening, more health problems. Do they have issues going to the bathroom by themselves? Can they easily stand up from a toilet? Or is that like a really hard thing for them to do because they have bad knees or bad hips? Are they incontinent? Do they have trouble just even standing up out of a chair or getting in and out of a car? So all these physical things, right, can make life more difficult and can make them more likely to have a fall. Now, not all older adults who fall and break a hip have significant physical problems. Other factors can result in falling and breaking a hip, including memory loss or any type of cognitive decline. Arthritis or pain can affect the ability to walk and move around, so that could cause a fall. Believe it or not, medications that cause any type of mental confusion up here or physical changes in the body can result in a fall. Anybody with more than one health problem, so let's say your parent has dementia and then they're depressed. Then maybe they've got some heart problems or congestive heart failure, or they have diabetes or kidney disease or something else, or maybe they've had cancer. Maybe your parents take a lot of medications, maybe 5 or more. Maybe they're taking opiates or antipsychotics because those treat dementia. So medications for dementia behaviors. I'll mention a couple. The names may be familiar. Haldol, Seroquel, Zyprexa, Clozaril, clonazepam, tramadol. Some medications for incontinence. All those can increase the likelihood of a fall. Now, sometimes falls do just occur out of the blue. I mean, how many times have you and I fallen, right? We trip over a rock in a parking lot, or we're hiking and there's a stick and we trip over it, right? Or you're out and about and you step down the curb off the wrong way and you turn your ankle. Oh, that hurts, right? And you're lucky, right? We do that, we turn our ankle and we catch ourselves and we don't fall. Well, maybe your parents just splat, they go to the ground, right? Slip on ice, slip on snow, slip in the shower or the bathtub because it's a slippery surface. They fall down the steps, the dogs run through the living room and then knock your parents over. Falls happen for all kinds of reasons. How can you reduce the risk of a fall? Well, let's go back to physical strength, poor balance, weakness. Best way to prevent a hip fracture is to work on becoming physically strong and keep your hip muscles and your hip flexors and your legs and your lower back strong. So you got to remain physically strong and be attentive also to safety factors when you're out and about. Pay attention to what you're doing rather than being distracted by something else that results in having an accidental fall. Commit to a daily exercise program that also includes cardiovascular strength and strength training. How can you do this? If you have poor balance or you've had a fall, just ask your doctor for a physical therapy evaluation. And then talk to your doctor and say, hey, there's no concerns with me exercising, right? Is there anything I need to worry about? Can I exercise? Am I okay to exercise? Get those 2 clearances. So a physical therapist can evaluate your strength. Do you have arm strength? Can you push yourself up out of a chair? Can you stand up out of a chair without pushing yourself up? Can you stand up with your stand up with your arms like this? Physical therapists look at all that. Then they suggest exercises, and it's up to you to follow through and do them. So if you need motivation, figure out a way to motivate yourself. Schedule the time when you get up every morning. From 8 to 9, I'm doing exercises. Nothing else. I'm not watching TV. I'm not answering my phone. I'm not, playing on the computer. Exercises. If you need more motivation, find a buddy. Find a buddy to go walk with. Go walk at the mall. Start walking 1 block and then increase it to 2 blocks. Walk a mile and then increase it to 2 miles. Find stairs to walk up and down. That will get your heart beating and strengthen your legs. If you live anywhere there's access to outdoor walking paths or trails, get outside and start enjoying the great outdoors. Take up a sport. Join a recreation center, swim, hike, ski, pickleball, golf. But whatever you do, be safe in what you do and where you do it. If you're taking medications, look at your list of medications. Go see your pharmacist and say, hey, is there any of this stuff that could make me fall prone? If so, go back and talk to your doctor. See if there are other options. Now, let's say that you've got some weakness and your doctor's like, yeah, your hips are giving out. Probably need hip surgery, or you got a bad knee, probably should have surgery. So if your loved one or yourself has plans for surgery, think about this. The best thing that you can do before surgery is to physically train and strengthen your muscles before surgery. Because the better condition you are in, the more quickly you will recover after surgery. Again, need a doctor's supervision, need a physical therapist, need a plan for this. But stronger, healthier you are, easier it is for you to recover. Not healthy, harder to recover. Because after any surgery, hip surgery, knee surgery, shoulder surgery, when you're older, it takes a lot of mental and physical strength to even get back to where you were, not to mention being better than you were. So it can take months. It's not like something that's going to happen in a week or two. It can take a month, 6 months, 12 months to fully regain your physical strength and your ability. So if you think about it, a fall and a fracture, planned surgery, a lot of time for recovery. You got to be up for it mentally and physically. Now, if your loved one has dementia, that makes it even harder because recovering from surgery can be more difficult because they may not be able to initiate activities or they don't remember to exercise. So somebody has to help them do this, right? They need assistance from another person to recover. Now, here's a risk too. If there's a hip fracture and the surgeon says, oh, they need to be non-weight bearing, warning bells should be going off in your head if this person has dementia. Non-weight bearing means that an older adult cannot stand and put weight on a hip where the surgery happened, right? So if that person lacks strength or balance and they can't use crutches to get around and they're confined to a wheelchair for a couple of months, what do you think happens? I have a story about this. I had a client with dementia. I was this lady's guardian. She fell and broke her hip, and the surgeon, who didn't work with people with dementia, said, oh, we're just going to do the surgery, and you know what? She's going to be non-weight bearing for 3 months. Well, during that 3 months, she forgot how to walk, and she never regained that activity. So what the surgeon did, without knowing it, is that hip surgery put her in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Many surgeons fail to consider the effect of surgery on people with dementia. And they don't involve their family members. And they don't tell them the risks. And the family members don't know to ask the risks. So then the person is worse off than they were before surgery. I mean, they may be out of pain, but now they can't walk. They can't get around. They need more care. They end up in a wheelchair. They have to go to a nursing home. All of those considerations need to be taken into discussions with surgeons. So if you have a loved one with dementia, or even not dementia, any type of surgery, make sure you understand what happens. Otherwise, there's a lot of risks and a lot of downsides, and the surgery may not turn out the way you think. So other factors for elderly with a broken hip. There's going to be this mental thought up here of, oh my gosh, what if I fall again? I don't want to fall again. Falling was bad. I didn't recover as well. So what does that fear lead to? Well, it leads to older adults doing less. They limit their physical activity. What does that lead to? Leads to the thing that caused the fall in the first place, if the fall was caused by poor physical tone, muscle weakness, poor balance, no endurance. Your parent couldn't stand for any period of time, couldn't walk a block, couldn't do anything. So a fall starts this spiral of, I'm afraid to fall again, so I'm going to do less, and then my physical condition gets less and worse, and then I become chair-bound and wheelchair-bound, and my health gets worse. What can also happen is, even if older adults recover, they can limit their activities, so they can stop attending social events because, oh gosh, maybe if I fell and I was out by myself at the store, I'm afraid to go out because what if I fall again at the store and nobody's going to find me? People then become depressed about their health conditions, and again, it's just kind of this spiral of, when one thing happens to our health, and this can be you or me too, we now have all these worries about, oh gosh, what if that happens again, or what am I going to do, or how am I going to work through all this? So this falling thing, or even any kind of health diagnosis, can be like traumatic for people. Older adults who have physical weakness and poor balance, and they have a hip fracture and surgery and all that kind of stuff, they're more than likely to eventually move into a care community or a nursing home if they don't have the mindset and the ability to really, really commit to getting better. So let's say that you're the caregiver of a person and they've broken their hip. As previously mentioned, if it's before the hip surgery, small window of time, right? But get involved in the surgery. Understand the whole picture of what the surgery is going to look like. What happens after the hospitalization? How does your loved one return home? Get as much information as possible. Have practical conversations with your loved one. And this can be before hip surgery, after surgery, but really what it's going to take to recover and how your parent is going to care for themselves. What happens if mom or dad who broke a hip can't care for themselves? What then? What do they expect of you? Can they pay to move into a care community? You have to have honest discussions about these things. Because if you have to hire help or you have to look for other options, you need some time to do that. Doing that in a rush, super stressful, can make the wrong decision. Is your loved one going to commit to doing the exercises, not just for a day or a week, for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or 12 months? And if they're not, what does that mean? We can't force other people to do things that are good for them. If we could, we'd be doing it for ourselves, right? So we have to be realistic with our aging parents and with ourselves, because truly the experience of a health problem or surgery or anything can be very difficult. There's that mental game of reducing fear and going back and living life as before. None of this stuff is easy. When it happens to you, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, now I know what my parent was going through. I wasn't compassionate with them. I wasn't patient. I had no idea that it was going to be this bad. Because your parents probably didn't complain. All of this, difficult, challenging, but you've got to have honest conversations and talk through feelings and fears and issues. All of that can make the family relationships and the family care relationships easier for everyone. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. I thank you so much for being here. Please take a moment, like this video, follow my channel, share these in other videos, comment, even if it's only to say thank you. Your one little thank you helps other people find their way here to my channel. If you need help, support, there's a lot of links below this video. There's a way to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. I thank you so much for being here. I will see you all again soon in another video.